Without supporters, there would be no trust. And as I've really said before, can never cease to be delighted at your extraordinary generosity. Apart from support for general funds and sponsorship, you so readily respond to emergency appeals, of which there have been a few over the years. BMT was but a few months old when the tsunami struck, and your contributions enabled us to set up a boat building yard on the beach, and we built 25 boats to replace some of those that have been destroyed. You've helped us with devastating floods. The beach has been shorn up to protect 25 at risk when the sea came right in and threatened to take away the houses. And as already mentioned, your donations to the COVID-19 Hardship Fund have literally been a lifesaver for those with no means to buy food for their families. Among our very loyal and very generous supporters are Danny and Caroline Bell, who have been with us virtually from the start. They have been wonderful sponsors to Santosh and Nandini for more than 13 years now, and they've helped them through a very traumatic childhood when they were tragically orphaned. And now they're both at university, which is really a wonderful feat. Over to you, please, Danny and Caroline.
Hi, everyone. I'm sorry to say that Caroline actually is not here. She's had to go because we've had a bit of a crisis. My 104-year-old stepfather has had a fall this morning. So apologies, you've only got me. As Sylvia says, we became involved in Venkat when we saw a Mail on Sunday article in 2004. We contacted Sylvia, and as a result of that, we ended up, she says, sponsoring Santosh and Nandini. And I managed to dig out the original bit of paper which we were sent, from which we, it sounds awful, but from which we selected them. And they're the two on the right-hand side, if I've got my bearings correct. They were aged 5 and 7 at the time, and we picked, and they're now 19 and 21. And I know that because they're the same age as our children. So we've been helping them along for nearly 14 years, I think. They lost their father back in the early days when they were very young. And then tragically, their mother was involved and lost her life in a dreadful accident with a home cooker. So they were looked after for a while by their old granny until she passed away. And bless them, they were now looked after by an uncle who, and I think when we were out in Coverland in January 2018, we were shown the room and they were sharing it with 6 younger cousins. So there was, you know, very cramped conditions. But despite their terrible start to life, they've both ended up with places at university, which is fantastic. And we are incredibly proud of them both. And, you know, our little contribution, I mean, we pay, I suppose, the equivalent of 1 cup of Starbucks a week or something like that. And yet it does make it's so relatively little to us, and it makes such a difference thanks to the wonderful administration of the Venkat Trust and Artie and JR and Ali, who I know have helped them hugely over the years. It does definitely confer a great feel-good status on really, you know, giving not very much at all. And before Caroline went, as well as saying, please send everyone my love, who I know, though, she said, we need to pick up another sponsorship thing. So I think we'll be looking for them. But it's great that particularly, I think, Nandini, who, you know, by getting herself a university place is enabled, she'll have some control over the destiny of her life now, which is fantastic. And I think it's absolutely wonderful trust, and have adored supporting it over the years.
Thank you, Danny. Sorry, Sylvia, you're unmuted, Sylvia.
Okay, right. I'm mute.
You're fine. No, you're fine.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I'm mute. Oh no. Okay, sorry. Danny, thank you very, very much. Sorry not to see Caroline, but thank you for those very kind words. It's much appreciated. And I know that the children really appreciate all that you have done and are doing for them. Thank you very much. And I have to say, you're just talking about those two, but you do a lot of other help as well, and we're very grateful. Thank you. Right, so on we go to Chennai-born Naren. When he heard about the Venkat Trust, he and his wife Bina were in Kovalam to see where their considerable skills could be put to use. They have returned several times, and the delighted children have benefited from their English lessons and other subjects. Or you'll probably find cricket mad Naren on the cricket pitch, putting his enthusiastic players through their paces. We're very grateful for what they do for the Trust, and I would like to hear from them now, please. Naren and Bina.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My wife Bina and I are delighted to be able to say a few words at this virtual curry lunch, thanks to the wonders of technology today. As you've just heard, for those of you I didn't get to meet at the famous birthday bash, I'm from Chennai itself, but I've lived in the UK for 50 years. However, I still have a large extended family in Chennai, whom I like to visit as regularly and as often as I can. As an avid Radio 4 listener, just like Thomas's family, I found myself listening to the Saturday Live programme about 5 or 6 years ago, when I heard of the project being conducted in Kovalam near Chennai. I remembered the name Sylvia, but I hadn't picked up her surname. So I searched the Saturday Live BBC website and found Sylvia's full name. And then that led me to the VMT website. I emailed Sylvia straight away, expressing my interest and asking how I could support this great initiative. Without realizing it, I found that I must have been looking for something outside of work to fire my interest. And as soon as I discovered the VMT, I knew I had found it. For me, it ticks so many boxes. It's about the city of my birth, about people I could readily identify with. It concentrates on the most potent route out of poverty, and it presented me with an opportunity to help in my own small way, and to boot, to give us an excuse to visit Chennai more often and get a dose of winter sunshine. I've been fortunate enough to make several trips to Kovalam now, although the first time did coincide with the torrential rain and flooding they had, which left the ground in front of the high school underwater. Having been so excited to see the school, the kids, JR, Ali, and the others, I was so disappointed. However, subsequent visits have been an absolute joy. The highlight is always when Bina and I take a few informal, fun classes, both with the junior school and with the high school children, teaching them English and science. The interest and enthusiasm the children show and their thirst for learning is really something to behold. My own great passion, as you've just heard, in life is cricket in all its forms. When I visited Kovalam, I found an opportunity to vicariously act out my passion by helping to set up some cricket nets and a bowling machine at the high school, may I say expertly supervised and constructed under JR and Ali's supervision. I can testify that this was a great success, especially for all the visiting sponsors at Sylvia's birthday. Reliving their youth really came to light. I am delighted about the girls' cricket team having been developed. I look forward to facing their bowlers in the nets. As regards the trust itself, we particularly admire the model adopted with regard to the sponsors' contributions. This and the admirable governance principles employed by the trust is a testament to Sylvia and the other trustees. Their dedication and passion is so plain to see. Visiting VMT has become a major highlight in our annual calendar, one that we both impatiently look forward to. Attending Sylvia's birthday bash was an unforgettable experience. In fact, this December, we had planned a very large gathering there, including my own family, my sister's family, and my mother, plus all my relatives based in Chennai, probably totaling 100 to 150 in number. Unfortunately, COVID has prevented this year. Still, I'm sure that when we are able to go, the wait will have been well worth it. Now I'm going to hand over to Bina to say a few words about her involvement.
Thanks, Naren. When I first heard about VMT from Naren, I knew straight away that this was no ordinary school project. I'd been traveling to India many times, setting up healthcare projects on behalf of the Wellcome Trust. And I knew just exactly how many obstacles the trustees in India and in the UK would have had to overcome to achieve what had been achieved. It is no mean feat to do that in India. And as a trustee myself with a couple of educational charities in the UK, I immediately identified with the cause. As I'm sure all the supporters will agree, there's absolutely nothing so gratifying as seeing young people flourishing and thriving through access to good educational opportunities. On my first visit to VMT a few years ago, I managed to make contact with the Chennai office of a global technology company called Cognizant. And I knew from working with them in the UK that they were very active in outreach to schools and also in corporate social responsibility initiatives more broadly. And I'm very pleased to say that I persuaded them to visit the school, and they immediately saw what we saw, which was an exceptionally well-organized and well-run school with eager children, ready and willing to learn all sorts of new skills. And from there onwards, the volunteers from Cognizant started visiting on Sundays to the community hall for the regular Sunday sessions. And I hope that that has served to enrich those sessions. And finally, I just want to say a few words about how pleased I was to hear that the language lab is up and running. Having done some English lessons by Skype with one of the VMT graduates, in fact, it was Kadha whom you saw in the first film, it became clear to me how much good job prospects depend on a command of English. And so I think that that's a fabulous enhancement at VMT, and I can't wait for our next visit there, because we're especially looking forward to spending some time in the language lab. And no doubt we will have to prepare more advanced materials for our informal lessons, because the children will have progressed substantially with the help of the language lab. So I'd just like to finish by saying a huge thank you to all the trustees, particularly for the tremendous hard work that they do. And it's really wonderful to behold the improvements year on year. And I'd like to just drink a toast to the trustees.
Aww.
Thank you very much. Thank you. How very, very kind of you. And thank you very much for that very nice speech. It's much appreciated. Thank you.